And the first thing you want to do when you have a new motherboard is, well, first of all, you want to put this the back plane that came with your case in, which I will in a minute. But the other thing I want to do is take a look at this motherboard and where the screw holes are on it. See, there's one screw hole, and then there's another screw hole down here, another one over here, and then you want to take a look at your case and make sure that there are standoffs in the right positions to line up with the screw holes, and no extra standoffs that could short out the back of the motherboard. So that's what I'm going to do here. Okay, you'll have to excuse the music in the background. I had to have some tunes. The silent treatment was killing me. So if you look here, pardon the shadow from the bar, but I've got the motherboard in the case, bolted down. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws. I'm glad I remembered this screw before I put the power supply in, because once you get the power supply in, this screw right here is a pain in the ass to get to. So, as you can see, new back plane is on. You have to put that in before you put the motherboard in. There's our weird, goofy PS2 port that apparently accepts mice or keyboards. 2 USB 2.0 ports above there. Parallel port, serial port, digital audio out port. It's a coaxial RCA style port, but it is digital audio. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more USB 2.0 ports. We have a gigabit Ethernet port, and we have our audio ports. Now remember that is 8 USB 2.0 ports on the back of this machine. Now remember earlier I told you that there were 3 more headers here. That gives you a total capability, if you have the appropriate hardware, for 14 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 USB 2.0 ports. That is a lot of USB ports. Now granted, he's just going to have 10, because this case just has two USB ports, and it has a little cable that comes out and will plug in. But if you ever wanted more ports, if you ever needed more, you could get, in fact I have a whole closet full of them, those little brackets that go back here that have 2 USB 2.0 ports on them. So yeah. So next what I'm going to do is hook up all these front panel connectors while I've got the area clear. These are basically connectors where you see this wonderful rainbow of colors here in this little block, the CPU connector block. It would be nice if someone came up with a standard so we just had one big block to plug in, but no, I've got all kinds of little bitty connectors to plug in there, and believe me, the colors do not match. Gigabyte has, although Gigabyte makes great boards, that's all the boards I recommend to people, they've got this weird goofy ass color scheme for their front panel connectors. Now as you can see, I have most of the front panel connectors connected for the lights and reset switch. The only thing that's missing there is the hard drive LED, and that's because it's attached to the door, the little metal door that has the fan holders in it, and that's somewhere hanging around over there. Haven't got to it yet. So, but in the meantime, I want to give you guys a shot of this little bundle of joy, bundle of wires. And this again is coming from the front panel of the case. And what this is, we have our IEEE 1394, which is firewire. It won't be used. I'll be tucking it inside somewhere. This board does not have onboard firewire, nor does it need it. Nobody needs firewire anymore. Here is a USB. There's a USB 2.0. This is actually 2 ports. It's just in one header, which is the way the standard is. And then if you look here, this little doohickey, what this is actually front panel HD audio, or AC97 audio. So you have, if you have HD audio, which most new motherboards are going to have, then you can plug that in. Otherwise, if you have a really old motherboard, you can plug in the AC97. And truth is, with this motherboard, if you plugged in either of them, it would auto detect and it would work either way. We're going to plug in the HD audio. There's our 3 USB headers. Fixing up. So you can see we have our USB front panel USB headers plugged into the third header on the motherboard, which I think is header number 1, but who knows, it doesn't really matter. It could be header number 3, it doesn't matter because they don't really have an ID or an identity. So, as you can see, there's going to be a lot of cable tucking. And I'll show you guys a handy feature that the board has later, or the case has later for that. Zoom out a little bit here. So, now all I got to do is plug in the... I'm sorry for the lighting. I don't have a light box or anything fancy like that for my photography. So, we're dealing with above the bed lighting. But if you guys remember, I showed you earlier the header for the front panel audio. And that's what I'm going to plug in next. I'm going to make sure I have my HD audio. And it's going to plug in right here where my middle finger is. I'm not flipping you guys off. That's where it plugs in. Make sure the connector is keyed to match, which it is. I'm gonna plug it right in there. I'll take a picture and make sure I got it because I can't see. Good, so the only front panel connector we have left to plug in is the hard drive light. And like I said, the hard drive LED is actually attached to the front metal door of this case, which also is a holder for 2 92mm fans. And I'm actually going to recommend to Kevin and Rory that they go to Fry's or wherever and get some 92mm fans. I actually have in my case some, these are 100mm fans, but they fit just barely. They're designed to fit in a 92mm spot. Now, granted, this is some close quarters here, but I managed to fit them in the front panel cage for that one, and it's exactly like this one, so I'm going to recommend those. But even 92mm fans I think will help. You definitely want this thing to stay cool. Anyway, as you can see, the hard drive LED is attached to this little cage. I don't know why they did that, but because it makes it a pain. But there you can see is where it's attached, and so I have to, before I can plug it in, I've got to put it back on here. Well, I can't put it back on there until I put in the hard drive. So, yeah. So we'll just wait for last. I know where it goes. So now it's time to tuck away some cables and get the power supply in. So here I am about to remove the other side panel. I just wanted to let you guys know that this is, the other side panel is held on with 2 regular Phillips head screws. The only reason I can imagine that they didn't use thumb screws is because you really only need to get to this area once, unless you're changing motherboards or changing power supplies. You don't have a need to get into this area, and you'll have to excuse me while I put the camera up here. Actually, here, let me just flip it over so I can show you guys how this side comes off the same way the other did. It's just like a door. So many of us are used to case panels that slide forward this way. Well, these don't do that. These don't even have a handle where you can pull it. These open like doors. So what you do is you lift up like this and see it's on a hinge. And so all you gotta do is pull out now, and there you go. Kevin should be an expert at pulling out. Oh, I can't believe I just went there. I'm just kidding with you, Kevin. You know we love you. Let's see. Now this is what I was going to show you guys. And this is the hidden... I have mixed feelings about this, but a lot of people like it.